I spent some questionable amount of money on some pieces, so do I regret these? Well, some of them are very regrettable. However, other pieces are definitely worth the money. In fact, some of them I can pass down for generations. So these are the most expensive items in my collection. First, let's talk about designer clothes. I have 2 shirts from Burberry and 1 shirt from Prada. I regret all of these. I fell into the trap, or a better way to say it, I fell for the hype. I thought wearing expensive items would impress strangers I didn't even know. Maybe I wanted to seem cool, maybe I wanted to seem wealthy. Truthfully, I don't know what I was thinking when I bought these pieces, but now I can confidently say that I regret buying them. They're a huge waste of money. Now, there's some designer pieces that I think look great, and eventually I do want to get my hands on. However, logos, branding, just to show where I got them from, and to show off that, hey, these are pretty pricey, I think is the biggest waste of money and makes you look extremely tacky. And that's exactly why I don't wear these. Minimal is always better. That's always been my mindset. However, when I bought these pieces, I forgot about that. I think when it comes to designer clothes, you see people of high status wearing them. Actors, musicians, and because these clothes are so expensive, kind of makes them more exclusive. And so when you see that, you kind of want to be on that level. But now wearing these pieces just looks dumb, and it almost makes it seem like you're begging for attention. And I don't think designer clothes are a bad option. Again, I just think logos and branding is not the way to do it. So moving forward, if I ever buy some designer clothes, it's going to be subtle luxury. You probably won't even be able to tell. Now let's talk about my Rolex. This one can be very controversial. So I got into watches last year. My brother showed me how much a timepiece can be such a piece of art. From the history of a watch, craftsmanship, how much a watch can be a trophy. Not of wealth, but a trophy of an accomplishment that you did. So that's been my new thing. Buying watches as a trophy to commemorate or even just to remember something that I accomplished. That's exactly what I did with this Rolex. Now I can go on and on about the history of Rolex or just the history of the Rolex Explorer. That's exactly what I got. A 36mm Rolex Explorer. And by no means do I go around saying, hey, look at me, I have a Rolex. That's why I like this one so much. It's very subtle. It's very classy, but it's not in your face. And at the end of the day, what I like to tell people, it's not about how much I spent on the watch, but more so about how much it's worth. Because when it comes to specific watches, they hold their value. So therefore, it's not so much that I spent the amount of money on this watch, because that money's not gone. If I really needed to, I could sell it for about the same money that I spent on the watch, if not a little bit more. Now look, the main lesson is looking good doesn't have to be expensive. Now, of course, the first place that you should start doing that is with grooming, especially if you have some unwanted facial hair. And the best place for that is Harry's, the sponsor of today's video. Look, it's the holiday season, so you need to make sure that you're looking good or give the gift to make sure your loved ones are looking just as good. You can give the gift of a quality, comfortable shave. Look, I was able to get my hands on the gift box, so I can say firsthand, this is a great gift. From the luxury felt packaging to the even smoother feel shave, I can tell you it's a great gift to receive. But if you want to be selfish on this one, I completely understand. You could also get the starter box. This is the one that I mostly use myself. It comes with a 5-blade razor, shave gel, and a travel cover. All the essentials you need for only $5 if you use my link. But again, the gift of a quality shave is what I'm going to be giving to my dad, my brother. Inside this one is a luxury felt craft handle with an engravable stand, signature foaming shave gel, and extra blades. Again, you could also be selfish with this one, pick it up for yourself. So it's a perfect gift for someone you don't know who to get or someone you love who would really benefit from this. But let's be real, anyone's gonna benefit from such a clean shave. And any set you could decide to pick up, especially that gift one, because there's only a limited time stock, you can get at harrys.com/Aaron Ramirez, and you could use the first link in the description. Now let's talk about my Alexander McQueen's. Expensive shoes seems like something that would never seem worth the trouble. However, these, surprisingly enough, I do not regret buying. I enjoy wearing them. Now, would I go out and buy a second pair? Probably not, nor would I even recommend people buying their first one. It's kind of a weird gray area where I don't regret buying these, but I really don't recommend them. That's because for this price tag, you can get a lot more. I'll probably be talking about that in a little bit. However, let's talk about these Alexander McQueen's. They have a minimal design, they're in the color white, and so I enjoy wearing them. It goes with a lot of pieces in my current wardrobe. They're a pair of sneakers that still give you a dressed up look, which is something that I'm really big into. And even though they're a designer piece, they're not screaming at you saying, hey, look at me, I'm wearing designer, because there are plenty of designer shoes that'll do exactly that. That's something that I would try to avoid. I do gotta say, they're not the most comfortable. You would think for that kind of price tag that you would get some comfort, but it's not the best shoe for comfort. So I would wear these if I'm going out, maybe a nice dinner. But if I'm gonna be walking a lot, I probably wouldn't wear these. Now I do gotta give a hand to Alexander McQueen. They probably have the best craftsmanship of any other sneaker that I've tried. However, for craftsmanship for footwear, there's one brand that I will always recommend, and that is Thursday boots. And for that price, I can get about 3 different pairs of Thursday boots, which is something I recommend way more than these shoes. Now, if we want to talk about a sneaker that I do regret spending money on, that is going to be my Jordan 1 Hyper Royal. If I spent a ton of money on any hype sneaker, I would regret that. But I only made one mistake, and that is this pair of shoes. Now I will say any sneaker of this sort, I probably wouldn't really regret if I bought them for retail price. But what I did instead was pay resale value. So instead of spending the initial $180, which is what they're worth, I spent about $350, which is just ridiculous for a pair of sneakers. So paying resale value is ridiculous. I always get questions about how do I feel about reps. If you really like a sneaker and there's no way of getting them for retail price, then maybe reps aren't a bad option. But in my opinion, I would much rather buy the authentic version of something else rather than buying a fake version of something that at the end of the day isn't really that important to begin with. The first expensive jacket I ever bought was when I was 16. It's a corduroy jacket I picked up from Madewell. This is such an underrated brand in my opinion, and is one brand that I definitely need to shop more at. Now truthfully, I don't regret buying this one, and that's because it held up for so long, and just in general, I think a jacket isn't really something that you should cheap out on. A jacket's supposed to be high quality and very durable. That's really hard to do when you're trying to look for the cheapest option. And that doesn't mean you have to go spend hundreds of dollars on a jacket. The expensive jacket that I'm talking about was about $250, which yes, is expensive, but it's not like it's unachievable for most people. Or another route you could take is find a very durable jacket from a thrift store. I've seen people come up on Ralph Lauren jackets, very high-end jackets at thrift stores for a very cheap price. And because it's that brand, you know it's high quality, you know it's durable, it's gonna last you a very long time. However, I've never really had good luck when it comes to thrifting, so I pretty much just always end up buying stuff for retail price, which at the end of the day, I don't think is that bad of an option, knowing it's gonna last a very long time. Now let's talk about colognes, more specifically, designer colognes. So I've spent a lot of money on colognes, and that's because I always bought them at retail price, mostly from Macy's or any other place that sells them. And later down the road, I found out that these discount stores for colognes are literally the same thing. I used to think they were fake, but then I kind of realized it's illegal to sell fake stuff in the US. And yes, I understand that some people can get away with it. However, more than likely it wouldn't be as common. Then I started to do some research, and I found out that all these discount suppliers are selling the real things, while department stores like Macy's, JCPenney, all the places that I was buying cologne at, was selling them for the original price, which has the insane markup. Because if you really look into cologne, it's not that expensive to make. Or you can get dupes. For example, Creed Aventus is about $400, which is crazy for one bottle of cologne. Or you can get the dupe version, which is very popular, very credible, for about $30 to $50, a fraction of the price that you would spend on cologne. So moving forward, that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. Or there's subscription services to get colognes for cheaper. Or another brand that I really like is Alt Fragrances, which is again another place where you could get dupes of really high-end expensive colognes. Now let's talk about my most recent expensive pickup, a leather duffel bag. Now I'm a big advocate for leather accessories, and typically the more high-end ones you do have to pay a little bit more of. So yes, although I just got it, it is a little too premature to say, but as of right now, I love this duffel bag. I actually got it on sale, so it was even cheaper than the actual price. And if it's anything like my other leather accessories, it's gonna last me a very long time. Look, moral of the story, an expensive purchase isn't always a waste of money, nor is a cheap purchase always worth buying. This video is about expensive items that I regret buying. However, there is just as many, if not more, affordable items that I bought that I eventually ended up finding out I did not need this. And so yes, a lot of people like to bash people for spending $500 on one jacket that they didn't wear, but nobody talks about how they have $200 worth of cheap clothes that didn't last them. And at the end of the day, both people ended up losing money on stupid purchases. So you should shop smarter. It's gonna save you a lot more money at the end. Other than that, I'll see you in the next one. Later.